Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to go ahead and take a look at the cars that they have for sale in Gran Turismo 1. I used to play this game all the time as a kid, and it's been really nice going back and just reliving those childhood memories. Alright, so looks like we got Dodge, Toyota, TVR, and nothing as far as Porsche or any of the exotics. Remember guys, oh, never mind. Aston Martin is here. Remember guys, this was a game that basically started it all. It was a huge success when it first came out, and I've been having a lot of fun playing it, seeing all the cars that are period correct. So let's go ahead and yeah, let's start off with Aston Martin. Okay, let's see the new car lineup. The DB7. That's pretty much about it. Any used cars? They do have a section for used cars in this game. I don't see any used cars for the Aston Martin. Basically, you gotta have that cash, you gotta have that money, which you can earn through doing the cups in the game, and then you can, buy that new Aston Martin. Mazda. This should be interesting. Okay, they got some used cars. Let's start with what new cars they have in the lineup. Demio. I've never heard of the Demio. It kind of reminds me a little bit of a Subaru Outback. Okay, 81 horsepower. That's very conservative, definitely. And yeah, same. The Demios, the Lantis Type R. Wow, this looks cool. I'm sure, these are a lot of cars that probably did not hit our market. I am based in the United States, so a lot of the cool stuff we didn't really get. So, okay, Lantis, two-door coupe, four-door, excuse me, 167 horsepower. All right. The price tag is kind of hefty on that one. It was like in the 20K range. But, of course, we come over here and then we see stuff that is familiar. The Unos Roadster. Yes, the Mazda Miata was called the Unos in, I want to say, the Japanese and perhaps the Australian markets as well. V Special? Yeah, why not? Let's take a look at that one. Okay, 128 horsepower. I'm not sure if this one comes equipped with the turbo. I know Mazda Miatas did come factory turbo at one point in time. So maybe you'll tell us in the specs. Aspiration normal, so no turbo here. Okay, anything different? Any FDRX7? Let's see over here. Okay, they got the FDRX7 over here as well. Let's go to the top spec, the A spec. And, okay, 261 horsepower. If I do remember correctly, this car may have been part of the gentleman's agreement in the Japanese car market back when they had the Toyota Supra and the Nissan Skyline. Basically, the cars were capped at 276 horsepower. You could not increase it. But those days are long gone, and I believe that is quite evident. We see the new cars nowadays, like the ACURA NSX, the GTR, and the Mark V Supra. There's definitely no limitation on how you present your car, the type of weight and horsepower, power to weight ratio, if you will. Aspiration turbo. Okay, so yeah, absolutely, the RX-7 FD did come with the turbo. I'm not sure, the game doesn't get into the specifics whether it is a single turbo or a twin. I believe the FDRX7 was originally released with a single turbo, but correct me if I'm wrong. And anything in the used car market? Okay, we got the same type of cars. Okay, no, the RX-7 FC. All right, so this car, guys, this car, I became a fan of this car when I watched the anime Initial D. You guys, if you're a fan of old school Japanese cars, it may have crossed your radar. The FCRX7 was an awesome car, and a fun little fact, this is actually the car that I learned how to drive stick in. It was a tricky clutch to get, but definitely really cool. I'll always remember that. Shout out to my man Ross. He was the guy who owned it back when I was in high school, and he was like, "Hey man, you want to learn how to drive stick?" And I was like, "Let's go for a ride, buddy." Same car as the Unos, aka Miata. Okay, FC3. I feel like these might just be newer iterations of the car. I am no rotary master. I love rotaries though. Really cool engines. 212 horsepower. I don't remember, what did this one have? It was listed at 202. So maybe the third rendition, or the FC3, was the one that had maybe a different turbo, or I believe it was the 13B. I know the RX-7s used to have the 12A, but that was mostly in the Savannas, the FB RX-7, which I do not see here on the list. And I think that sums it up for the Mazda cars. Let's go to Nissan. This one should hit home. I actually used to own a Nissan Skyline R32 GTS-T. As you guys can see, my car, the one that I did purchase, is an R32 Skyline. We'll probably, let's see if we could take a look real quick at my car. Is there a section to go into the garage? Car wash maybe? Yeah, there it is. So yes, this one looks exactly like the Skyline I owned. I missed that car, and it was a blast to drive, and it was just about the same color. Mine was actually black. This looks more kind of like a gray, but it's kind of hard to tell in this game. You know, once again, guys, we're talking late 90s graphics here, and missed that car for sure. Anyways, back to the cars that are for sale in Nissan. Let's go ahead and take a look at the new cars. And okay, we got the S chassis, classic chassis, S14. Okay, S14 Sylvia. Oh, I love it in white. The S14s, I'm an S13 guy. I love the S13s, but the S14s are always cool. I've always admired a clean S14 when I see it on the street. And yeah, $17,000. What's actually crazy is, even though this is a game from what, 1997, this seems about correct price-wise, because where I bought my Nissan Skyline, it was actually a dealership in Virginia called Japanese Classics. Great guys, and I remember when they had the S14s and even the S13s going in the low, like 11 to 13 range. Same with my Skyline when I bought it, and now they're a lot pricier. So this is actually, interestingly, this is not a bad price tag. Roughly what, 18,000? I'm not sure what the units of this game would specify, maybe yen. But yeah, S14s can definitely go for 18,000 USD. So that's really cool how times have kind of caught up to that. It's mostly due to COVID. That's really blown up the prices of cars. Yeah, hopefully they'll get cheaper, but I don't, they are desirable cars. The S chassis has always been a favorite amongst people who are in the drift community, so maybe we won't see that happening. And of course, the S13, another car that I saw in Initial D. Initial D was actually one of those anime that boosted my interest in cars. I grew up watching the Fast and Furious franchise, and that was definitely the birth of car enthusiasm for me, as well as Gran Turismo and the early Need for Speed games. But the S13 is, yeah, definitely also one of the cars that they show in the anime. So That's definitely a good contributing factor to, my love for just Nissan in general. I love Nissans. Fair Lady Z. Okay. This is a good one. This car, I actually got a chance to drive it one time. Back when I had my Skyline, I had a friend who had a 300Z, and they're really cool cars. They're pretty finicky, though, I've heard, as far as reliability. And that's always kind of been questionable with the older Nissans. They say that if you own like a Fairlady Z, older Skylines, and 240s, you will become a mechanic because you will be wrenching on the cars quite a bit. They had something else here. Okay, R33 Skyline. And let's take a look. Okay, very cool. R33s, they are kind of the unwanted child in the Nissan Skyline lineup. I've always thought they've looked pretty cool. But, my heart is true to the R32. I stay true to the R32. That is my favorite Nissan Skyline. My brother really likes the R34. I know a lot of people definitely want to get their hands on those, and I don't even know how much they're going to cost once they hit the 25-year threshold here in the United States. That's when they will become legal. So we're going to just have to wait and see. I know they go for crazy money right now. If you take a look at anybody that has an R34 in possession, I'm talking about the United States. I can't speak for Australia or the Canadian market, and most definitely in Japan, they're probably not on an astronomical price range. But I know a lot of people are, trying to buy them and keep them stored, so when the time comes, they can have them brought over to the States. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how that one pans out. I feel like the R34 has always been the one that everybody wants to get their hands on, but that car was not out when this game came out, so we won't be seeing the R34 in here. We skipped over the Primera. Does anybody want to see it? Sure, why not? 2.0 turbo, 147 horsepower. Okay, Nissan Primera. I don't recall seeing this car in real life either. Let's take a look at some of the specs. What? Aspiration normal? And why is it 2.0T? Anyways, it's an older game, guys. You don't know if they might have skipped over the fine details. But anyways, we can go ahead and take a look at what else they have here. Let's look at next. Okay, a couple more Fairladies. And yeah, some R33s. GTR V-Spec. I just want to see what's the 276 horsepower for this one. The V-Spec is probably the same horsepower. Yeah, 276. The V-Spec is just kind of like the one that people want to get their hands on. So, 53,000. That's just so crazy. I'm sure that this game is listed in Japanese yen, but these prices, considering today, 2022, with COVID in effect, these prices are actually adding up if you were to consider them from the USD perspective. So that's crazy to me. What else? You know what? I think we should just take a look at some of the used cars. Let's see what they have. They should have some older stuff in here. We looked at the S13. Yeah, they have a bunch of S13s for sale. I actually have been doing a lot more of the arcade-based races. You guys have probably seen some of the uploads on the channel. If not, I have them saved in a playlist under Gran Turismo 1. You guys can go back and take a look at them. It's pretty interesting game. Because the controls and the game engine is just so different when you play a game that's from the PlayStation 1. Pulsar. The Nissan Pulsar, that's different. Let's see that. My mom used to own a Nissan Pulsar. That's a true fact. These cars also, I haven't seen a whole lot of them in real life. I've seen, very few, but nonetheless, cool cars. All-wheel drive, kind of like maybe like a baby Nissan GTR. Skyline GTR, that is. Specs, let's see. So yeah, I don't, okay, long 4. So yeah, this most likely had like the one of the SR engines, I'm guessing, like an SR20, to differentiate it from the Skylines that came with the inline 6. This game lists them as L6, so that's my guess is that's long 6. But no RB20, RB26 in the Pulsar platform. But, you know, they had to market it a little different from, you know, their Nissan Skyline lineup. So, nonetheless, a cool car. I've seen a couple of people, you know, do some reviews on the car on YouTube. So, definitely not a boring car by any means. Let's see, anything else cool in here? R32s, just a bunch of R32s. I see a lot of GTSTs. I don't see a GTR, and I spoke too soon because it's right in front of my face right here. R32 Skyline GTR. Okay. Dream car right there, man. Love the R32. What a classic design. Once again, you see that 276 horsepower as per the gentleman's agreement. That was in effect back when these cars were coming out real time. R33s. Yeah, I didn't think so. No R34s. Those cars weren't even out when this game came out. So we might see them in Gran Turismo 2. But let's see what else they got. What else do they have? I think that kind of covers it for Nissan. The Nismo cars. Okay, this is probably like the mods you can do to the car, and I'll try to make a separate video to get into that. I know car modding in video games has came a long way. You especially see that in Forza. Really crazy modding that they have in the newer games, but Gran Turismo has always had a very fine-tuned details when it comes to modding their cars as well. So definitely would love to dig deeper into this section in a future video, but I think we should go ahead and skip over to Subaru at this point. And, you know, yeah, let's just start with the newer cars. Yeah, I thought so. The Imprezas, the Subaru Legacy and Impreza. I guess those were the main cars that were kind of the hot lineup from Subaru back in late 90s. Which sounds about correct. Let's see, Subaru Impreza sedan, and oh yeah, the GC8 platform. Love it. Cool cars. I have never been the hugest fan of the Subaru platform. I think boxer engines are cool. They are a little finicky. I've always kind of liked the Evos. I did used to own an Evo at one point, and they are definitely the type of platform that I would spend more of my money building. Subarus are notorious for breaking down, but definitely not taken away from you know, what they've contributed to rally, and overall they are cool cars. My respect, I tip my hats off to Subaru. And the Legacy, I've always had a soft spot for wagons. Wagons are definitely not the type of car that it's not for everybody. The wagons aren't for everybody, but I feel like they sound cooler. It's definitely because the way the exhaust kind of lines up on the car, you get more of an echo, and it's a lot cooler. The sound is definitely a lot deeper, as far as what I've heard in real life, comparing the Subaru wagons to the sedans and whatnot. And yeah, basically a couple of other Imprezas. Impreza. I like Impreza. But I have heard some journalists from the UK, automotive journalists, saying Impreza. So we're going to stick with Impreza. Used cars, let's see what they got. Okay, Imprezas and Legacies. Alcyon SVX, what is this? Ooh. I think I've seen this car before. It was probably marketed under a different name in the US market. 236 horsepower, huh? You know, The thing I love about this game, oftentimes what I do is I'll be looking up the cars on the side because there's a lot of cars in here that I'm not too used to, and I haven't really heard about, particular models in this game. So I'll always look them up, and it's a good way to kind of learn about new cars you did not know about before. And I think that does it for Subaru. STI, this is the modding again. So that's kind of cool. Like, they have it listed under STI, or I guess what Toyota would have for TRD, and Nismo, of course, for Nissan. So that's kind of cool how they did that. But we'll go over to Dodge and see what they got. Looks like they only have new cars for Dodge and the Viper. Let's see this. The Viper. Okay, 449 horsepower. I've always loved the Dodge Viper platform. I think it's crazy to have a V10 in the front, rear-wheel drive. Dodge definitely hit the head on the nail with the Dodge Viper. And yes, the cars are pretty crazy. I've heard from people how they're tough to drive and they're kind of like death machines, but nonetheless, the people who buy these cars, they know why they're buying them, and I've always admired the Dodge Viper. And concept car. What is this? Oh, that looks interesting. Yeah, it kind of looks a lot like a Viper, but it's not even, you can't even buy it. You can't even buy it. Is it just for, is it just to look at? I don't know. Maybe you unlock the car later on in the game. I've actually been playing this game very recently. It's a new save, no loaded data on here. So I'm sure other cars may pop up later on once I play the game a little bit more. But we're going to go over to Toyota. This one should be pretty interesting. Let's see what they got under the new cars. And okay, Toyota Starlet, got the Corona, the MR2, the Corona, the MR2, Chaser. Yeah, some just good classic Japanese cars right there. Toyota Starlet. I had a teacher that used to own a Toyota Starlet actually. They're nifty little cars. I don't see a lot of them here in the US. I've seen them more in Asia whenever I travel and stuff like that. And they have the Corolla. What kind of Corolla? The Levine? Okay, this is not the Corolla we're used to. This is an FF layout, front wheel drive. Different than the Toyota we were all thinking about. But that's interesting. I wonder if they have, this is the new car lineup. Maybe we'll see the A86 in the used cars. But other than that, Sprinter, is this it? No, wow. This is also an FF. Sprinter Trueno. Toyota Celica. That's a classic. That's a classic. Yeah, that's so cool, man. These were the new cars when this game came out. It's not a GT4 though. SS2. Yeah, a lot of the nomenclature, it's probably period correct to Japan. This game was originally released in Japan, so maybe a lot of the names of the models don't add up to what we're used to seeing in parts of Europe or the US market. It's always different. The Corona. This is also a front wheel drive. But, I've always liked trying to play with the different cars in the game. And, if we're loaded with that money, if I do some more cups, maybe I'll try to buy them out and, test drive them and see how that goes. Toyota MR2. Yeah, why not? Classic car. Oh, yeah. This car still looks so cool, and the fact that it's a mid-engine. This car was way ahead of its time when it came out, and I've never really gotten a chance to drive one in real life, but definitely a bucket list thing. I've always thought they were cool cars, and yeah, with the classic Japanese cars, guys, they're just becoming a lot more expensive. Toyota Chaser. Okay, this one's front rear. So rear wheel drive. Did we look at the Chaser? I might be going over certain cars again, guys. But let's see, they got a next section. Oh yeah. This is what we were waiting for. The Toyota Supra. Was this car... Of course this car was out at this time. Wow, man. That's just crazy how ahead of its time this car was. This is a car that's still so sought after today. That price tag, 43.9. Yeah, that's definitely not true to today's standards. These cars are crazy expensive now. But the 2JZ, legendary engine. I'm an RB26 guy, but I tip my hat off to the 2JZ. Great engine. My uncle actually did a build with the 2JZ, and driving it, it's definitely a beast of an engine. But it's pretty much the same cars. Have some more Celicas, Supras. I want to see in the used cars if they have anything like maybe like the classic. Okay, so let's see here. Yeah, like the Mark III Supra. I've loved the Mark III. My cousin used to have a Mark III Supra. I've driven it, and really cool car. I used to want one myself back in the day, but sadly these cars are coming harder and harder to come by. I don't see a whole lot of them. By the way, I do live in the Chicagoland area, so we have a great car community here. You get to see a lot of variety of things, but yeah, Mark III Supras, haven't seen one in a long time. And speaking of cars, I don't see much. The A86. This is the car, baby. This is the one. This is, you know, for all the people that have seen Initial D, this is that car, of course. So I don't see a lot of these either. When I was buying my Nissan Skyline, I asked the team over at Japanese Classics, how come you guys do not import E86? But he was like, you know, they rust really fast. It's really hard to find clean ones. More Mark III Supras. What is this? Oh, of course, the Mark IV. Yeah, always a good list of cars in the Gran Turismo series. I feel like they differentiate it from Forza. I know Forza was probably not even conceptualized back when this game originally came out, but when it comes to like the rare breed Japanese cars, Gran Turismo is definitely the place for that. Let's go over to TVR and only new cars. Oh, sorry about that. Let's go back here. New cars only. The Cerbera. Okay. 350 horsepower. That sounds exciting. You know, I'm hyped to actually like put in some time and, you know, buy these cars and test them out. And yeah, of course, make some videos on these cars. And it's always fun. It's you know, for the culture. You know, you just learn about new cars, and you never know. Sometimes a video game is all it takes to build up a dream car in your mind. Okay. The Griffith TVR. TVRs, we don't see TVRs in the US. I'm sure there are people that have them, but I've never really seen a whole lot of them here. Mitsubishi. What's new? The Mirage. Okay. Mitsubishi Mirage. Classic car. This one is a front-wheel drive, and it's 172 horsepower. Probably is not one of the cars that came with the 4G63. That is going to be this bad boy right here, the Lancer. Is this the... Yes, it is. It's the Evo 4. This is actually my favorite Evo. There's this movie called Who Am I with Jackie Chan. I used to watch it a lot when I was younger, and this is my favorite Evo. I've always loved the Evo 4. I had an Evo 8, but the Evo 4 is definitely the one that I like. And yeah, going back to let's go back to the Evo. You see that 276 horsepower. Once again, that gentleman's agreement that they had. Let's see, the Eclipse. DSM, Diamond Star Motors, rest in peace. That's what this car was marketed as here in the US. They had them as a Plymouth Laser. They had it listed as the Eclipse, and I think it was something else, like DSM maybe. FTO did not get these in the United States, unfortunately. I love the FTO. You see a good amount of them in Canada, and yeah, I really wish they came over to this side. Always thought the FTO was a really sick looking car. But let's see what they got in next. Yes, just some GTO. Is that similar to? It's probably similar to the. No, of course. What am I saying? GTO is a different car. The GTO is you know what, over here it's marketed as the 3000 GT VR4. Yes, the 3000 GT VR4 was what it was called in the United States, and in Japan I guess it was just simply called the GTO at the time. And that concludes it for the new Japanese market Mitsubishi cars. And over here pretty much looks like the same stuff: the Mirage, the GTO, the FTO, the Evos. So that sums it up for the Mitsubishi cars. We're almost done with the list. We are now on Honda, and let's start with the new lineup. Okay, the Civics, these are classic. Hondas is where I started out, guys. I used to have an Integra as well, and this here is an EK. 106 horsepower, probably a B series engine. It doesn't really tell you in the specs, but yeah, long 4, and that's it. No displacement number given, but most likely a B series. Same with the Accord. This is probably, ooh, an Accord wagon. These are cool. You don't see a lot of these, but if built right, they look really cool. And this probably came with the H platform. Those were more so in the Preludes and the Honda Accords. And speaking of Preludes, we got one right here. Ooh. Yeah, it's so interesting to see these cars. And, you know, you look at these cars today, and, you know, when built right, they can still turn heads. And considering the age of this game, late 90s, you kind of come to think that, wow, these cars have been out for that long. Some of these cars are probably as old as I am, if not older than me. So it's definitely cool to see how some cars don't age at all. Anything I skipped over? Let's take a look. New car. Ooh, the Integra. The ACURA Integra. Legendary car. It's my favorite Honda. And I owned an Integra. I was trying to build one. I did not have a Type R or a GSR. I had an Integra LS, and I did have the supporting mods to do an LS turbo, but I never got to it. So that's definitely a bucket list thing. Would love to do that sometime in the future. And how could we go over Honda and not talk about the NSX? The NSX is a legendary car, and another one of the cars that we see in Initial D. When I watched the anime, that was definitely one of the cars that I was exposed to. But the NSX is definitely a car that I saw growing up playing Gran Turismo. That's what got me interested in the NSX. And they used to go for such affordable prices. Now they're just hitting the roof. So definitely a legendary Honda in that aspect. Of course, as I expected, no S2000s in this lineup. That car was not out when this game came out. So in the used cars, we have the Del Sol. This is it's a cool car. It's basically like a CRX. I've always liked the CRX more, but I have had a friend who owned a Del Sol. Unfortunately, it got stolen, and I remember when he showed it to me. It was really cool with the top down. You know, these are the type of cars that are low horsepower but a lot of fun to drive. Couple of more Preludes and some Civics. This is a 93. This is probably an EG. Yep. EG Civics. You know, these older Hondas are also coming harder to find nowadays. I feel like people that built them like 5-10 years ago, they definitely got good deals. You just find a shell, throw in a B series or a K series motor, and call it a day. But yeah, just a bunch of Preludes and NSX. Does this have the brick headlights? I'm guessing so. No, pop-up headlights. Maybe here. No, pop-up headlights. So yeah, I'm sure some of the cars you just unlock later on, but we might make an updated video with the newer cars. And of course, they have Mugen. This is probably going to be the mods list. As I said, in this game, it's pretty interesting how they tied it in. All the racing divisions for each respective manufacturer is listed in the game under the mods list. So last but not least, Chevrolet. I'm a Chevy guy. I love my Camaros, and we'll take a look at what was new when this game came out. And the Camaro. Okay, the F-body Camaro. My uncle had an IROC Z 3rd gen Camaro when I was growing up, and that was the car for me, man. That was the car. I used to go to kindergarten in that car, and that was something that definitely sparked the interest of cars from a young age. But I've always liked the F bodies. I've always considered buying them because when it comes to the muscle cars, I'm definitely a Chevy guy through and through. But these cars are so expensive too now. I remember when they were going for like 5-6K USD, but you don't come across them too often anymore. And then, once again, that's due to COVID for sure. And other than that, they have the Corvette, which sounds about right. Camaros and Vets, those were definitely the only performance cars available from Chevy at this time. They did not have the SS. They did not have any of the newer cars like the hot hatches or any of those. So Corvettes and Camaros sound about right for this game. But the C4 Corvette, these cars, I've always liked them too. It's always really cool how the engine has opened up on these. The whole compartment just kind of pops forward. But these cars are also getting harder to find in real life as well. And yeah, it looks like they only have new cars in the Chevrolet section. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, that pretty much concludes all the cars that you could buy in Gran Turismo 1. If you guys enjoyed that video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I'd definitely love to go over any other cars in the future that may not have been included in this video. And with future games, we'll go ahead and try to break down the type of cars that are for sale. I might have to break the video down into little bits because I know this video got a little bit on the longer side, but nonetheless, thank you guys, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Have a nice day.